Hello and welcome to Seize the Market. I am Christine Lee, and this is going to be a very interesting conversation. So today we're going to talk about how to quantify feelings. All right. So that's a slippery little sucker. So on my team before, my teammate would say, I know how you feel about when we, how you are when I say, oh, I feel this way, because I'm like, what do you do with that, right? I mean, okay, thank you so much for telling me how you feel. Well, how does that translate into actually anything actionable, and where does it actually back up with any sort of reality or facts? So that's always been the challenge of the conversation. And so because I've experienced this coming up pretty frequently, I somehow found a way to build a system of being able to quantify this and turn this into actionable items. So first of all, let me kind of lay the premise here of how the word feeling or these subjective words can be so misleading. So scenario number one, and you ask somebody, hey, how was that, experience? It's like, oh no, it was good, and my response is, okay, well, what is good? Because in my mind, when you say it's good, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 4, right? And so when I ask the question, hey, how would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, it was like an 8 or a 9. What? Like, that's not good. That's like, great. What's wrong with your vocabulary, right? But the point is that everybody has different words that they choose. That's very subjective. And until you actually get it to some type of quantifiable index, right? Even if it's an index just for that conversation, you really don't know where people stand. And the one thing that seems to be pretty gosh darn universal is a scale of 1 to 10. So today's conversation is going to be about how do you turn feelings into actions? Right? So the first step is that you actually get on the same page as what that feeling is, where that rates on the spectrum of things. And to do that, I use what's called the 1 to 10 technique. And so anything that is brought up in terms of a feeling, I say, okay, so how does that range on a scale of 1 to 10? And you get on the same page, because for most people, 10 is like way top up there and 1 is like zilch, null, nil. And so that brings you on the same page so you can avoid the disparity between one person's, oh, that was good, and it registering as a 9 on their Richter scale, to, for you or it registering as a 4. So let me give you some business examples of how this works in a team setting. And so let's say we go down to an accountability coaching conversation. So somebody has a goal of achieving X, and they didn't meet it. And so how does the conversation go? Well, no, I tried my best. I really wanted to do this and I really wanted to make it work. But I didn't. All right. So it's like, okay. And what I've learned is that when they say, oh, I feel like I did my best, or I feel like I did this, and, that would indicate that they gave it their all. Something very effective is actually putting it in a quantifiable format. So the question would go something like this. All right. So let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want X results so you can achieve Y, right? And the X might be, achieve, whatever, some dollar amount in income. How much do you want to hit, $100,000 in income so you can have the freedom and, the joy in your life, so you can take family vacations and buy a new house or feed your whatever, cause or whatever it is, right? Their hopes, dreams, and goals just tied around that says, how badly do you want that? How committed are you to achieving that? And most of the time, the rating on that, they will respond with, well, I really want that. I'm like usually an 8, 9, or 10. So they might say, oh, I'm like 9, 9 or 10. It's like, okay, great, fantastic. So you quantified that. And then the next question is, so let me ask you this. In terms of your actions, how did it reflect your commitment to achieving that? That's where the pause comes in. And usually kind of takes them a second to think about it. And they kind of realize, wow, well, my actions didn't really speak much volume when it comes to my commitment. And you'll get an answer somewhere, again, if they didn't achieve their goals, along the lines of, well, it was more like a 6, or a 7. And then you can have the conversation of, okay, so you're telling me your commitment is at a 9, but your actions reflect a 7, So tell me more about that. And so the magic of it is that it went from, I feel like I did my best, noise, blah, 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 wah, wah, wah. And you let them self-discover that their actions quite didn't meet their intentions. So that's the first example in how to get all the feelings out of the way and turn it into an action item. Then you can go into, okay, so to reflect your commitment of getting, a 9 in achieving X, Y, and Z, what needs to be done, right? And so then they just pave their own path, okay? And you massage along and encourage them along the way and really flesh out whatever steps you want to make for, their weekly goal or what have you. But now you are able to take the feeling into something quantifiable, get on the same page, see the disparity between their intention and their actions, and then create a solution for it and go on your merry little way. So that is the first example I wanted to share with you. The next one is when you're getting a pulse on a team member or even a personal conversation. So the great thing is that this works in both business and personal. And I use it all the time. I love it, love it, love it. And so, and again, it's just that I really yearn for clarity on ambiguous terms that can mean like one end of the spectrum or the other. And there's no way to tell unless you actually ask the follow-up question to see where it rates. And maybe that's just me, but it's really, really effective in my opinion. And so let's give an example of, hey, how you're doing a review with your teammate. You have a valued teammate. You want to know where you stand, where they stand, really get on the same page so you're connected and moving forward together in the same vision. So when you have the conversation of, hey, so how happy are you? How are things going? How happy are you in what you're doing? And again, I'm just kind of extracting a single question from many questions that you would ask during a quarterly or a semi-annual review. And when you get into that conversation, hey, how happy are you? The typical answer may sound pretty, such as, no, I'm very happy, or I'm happy. It's great. It's peachy. It's rainbows, sunshines, unicorns, hearts, whatever the words are. It's going to be more of an emotion-based feeling word. So that can be quite misleading because I've certainly had situations when I say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that? And their words in your interpretation, again, may have reflected an 8, 9, or 10. But when they actually put a number on it, by golly, they might even say 7 or a 6. Okay. And the thing is that when somebody is being nice, especially somebody in an administrative role where they're not really looking to bash you, they're not very confrontational, they want to support and please, right? They're going to come out with more of the words that aren't going to hurt your feelings or they perceive as not hurting your feelings, even though you may be tough as nails. So when you have them put a number on it, it gives them less room to be able to soften it or sugarcoat it. Because all you're looking for is the real raw truth. Because if you don't have that, you don't have much to work with. And so you will be surprised that even the shyest person, once you put them on the 1 to 10 scale, will display an extraordinary amount of bluntness and honesty, because at the root of them is that they are not liars. Okay. They are honest, good people. And so if you give them a clear rating scale and an index to work with, then the number that they choose truly will reflect where they're at or be much closer than letting them get away with a emotional feeling word. Now that's a business example. And of course, if you find any disparity between what you thought they were expressing through the emotional words versus a quantifiable number, then you have some more conversations to be had, right? What needs to happen to get you to, where do you want to be? What needs to happen to get you there, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a whole different conversation. And giving you an example on the personal level, I mean, it can be loved one, spouse, children, and asking, children how they're doing in school or how they feel about whatever, using that same type of technique. For a spouse or loved one, if you're having a really deep conversation, hey, how happy are you? How happy are you with our relationship, where we're headed, where we're at right now? They might easily come out and say, no, I'm happy, real happy with you, great. Now, in an optimistic, from an optimistic standpoint, you might say, okay, great, done. That sounds like a 9 or a 10, ding, ding, check. So you don't have to worry about it anymore. So you think, well, how about you ask the actual quantifiable question where you say, hey, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that? Oh, well, like a 7. Whoa, like 7 is totally different than 9 or 10. And if it's a 7, that would ring your bell to say, hey, let's make it an 8, 9, or 10, right? So that turns into a whole different conversation, but it could have totally been masked by an emotional, feely, fluffy word. if you didn't use the 1 to 10 technique. And the other one, so if you really, for those that you think still may have some challenge of being just outright honest, and you really want to just kind of lay it out there and be able to dig further, there's a third question that I resort to if need be. So for the really shy ones and that are just really just wanting to please, and I just kind of get a sense that they're not being as honest as they could be, then I will dig one level deeper. I'll say, hey, so thank you so much for the feedback. I really appreciate everything that you're saying. And so let me ask you this. In the questions that we went through so far, on a scale of 1 to 10, how brutally honest were you? I mean, just like unfiltered, didn't pull any punches, and just like completely putting it out there, no filters whatsoever. 10 being like absolutely no filter. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I was that honest. I almost scared myself honest, to 1 being, you sugarcoated the whole thing. So how would you rate yourself on that? And so then if they come back with, well, I wasn't that brutally honest, like I was like a 6 or a 7, then that opens the conversation for you saying, I really appreciate that. And, love the fact that you want to be tactful about it. But right now we're in a scenario where I really need your unfiltered, pure, white as snow, honest feedback. So I'm asking for a 10 in terms of complete unfiltered honesty. Can you do that for me? And then, if they proceed to say yes, then you can say, okay. And then you can go back to the questions, whatever they were, and say, okay, keeping in mind that scale of 1 to 10, complete honesty, unfiltered honesty, what would be your answer to this? And you can just kind of retrace it and really kind of get some of the fluffy layers off of that and really dig down to some deep, like, bare naked truths for their responses. And again, appreciating them and supporting their willingness to be outside of their comfort zone and to be out there. So that is how you would take feelings and turn it into actionable items, and using the 1 to 10 technique to get there. And when it comes down to it, as you can see, these are specific strategies, specific language, and a system, if you will. And everything you do in business or life is a system. That's a claim and a statement I'm putting out there. And you either have great systems or you have broken systems. And these systems can show up in the systems that you use that are automatic, that you don't even think of as systems. Your trained responses, the way you behave, the way you react, the way you are, the emotional state that you're in, or your kind of go-to responses. All those things are systems that are programmed in you personally or as a business. So how is it serving you? How is that working for you? And so in the scope of business, if you know that you're lacking systems, and it can be systems for dealing with people, process, technology, all those are driven by systems, meaning if you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time you have to address it, if you want to know what you're doing, if you want to have it so you can have it streamlined, save time, effort, and energy every single time you need to do it, that, my friend, is a system that's going to be repeatable and scalable. So if that's what you want, and you know that you need great systems in place to take your business to the next level, hey, that's what we're known for. I am kind of a systems nut. So as you can see, but systems is so much more than just, levers and pulleys and just, check boxes. It really is a concept of handling people, dialogue, powerful conversations, how you approach things, how you think about things, how you look at things. There's ways of approaching those that have existing proven models in place, steps, formulas, techniques that you can learn to really enhance your business, save time and energy, and really take off to the next level with the least amount of bumps and bruises. Hey, I'm sure you can do it yourself with having all the learning moments that you want. Go for it. But why beat yourself up with learning moments you can just shortcut by having them taught to you, by learning them and saving yourself a whole lot of headache? Because there's other people before you that have taken the bloodbath and you don't need to shed another drop. And so take advantage of that. Let's chat. If you want to figure out where you're at in your business, where you're at now, where you'd like to be, and how to close that gap. Let's have a conversation, an honest conversation that's going to help you break through to the next level. And you can book a free strategy call by going to seizethemarket.com/talk. That's seizethemarket.com/talk. And we look forward to having a nice conversation with you and helping you grow. Thanks so much. Bye.